in the area of geography. Now, first off, when we say geography, from a general perspective, what do you think geography is? In a layman understanding, what's your understanding of geography?
Sir, please, we can't hear you properly.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, but your
Yes,
voice
please,
is
we can hear
lower.
you.
My voice is low.
Yes, please.
Wow. Is anyone having that challenge too? Of my voice being very low?
I see anybody having the same challenge.
Sir,
Yes, all of
please, me.
us.
Fine. Please, we can't hear anything again.
Sir, it's okay now. You can proceed.
Uh,
Please let kindly hold on.
yeah, hello.
Hello, sir. Please, we can hear you.
Uh, Now, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I think my network is a bit slow, so it's making the voice retard. I'm trying to log onto my phone so that I send I I continue from the yeah hello yeah few minutes, let me join my phone. Yeah hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Please, I think, okay. Is your network okay? Mr. James, please, is your network okay now?
Yes,
Yes.
you can allow it now.
Please, your voice is very low.
Can you hear me? Is it better now or is still low?
Please, it's okay now.
Okay. All right, fine. Okay, but I'm unable to share my screen. I don't know if you can check that for me.
Okay. Please try it one more time and let me see.
Sure, it's not it's in now. So share it.
Okay. Please,
Now
I
your
think,
screen is shared.
Okay, great. So
okay, sure.
good evening everyone. Um so I think before the signal dropped, I was asking that when we talk about geography, what is your understanding of geography, the word or the term geography? Yeah, anyone? Okay. Yes, please proceed. You can answer. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Please, geography. The term geography, it came from the word geo and then graphos. The geo is the earth, and then the graphos means study or to describe. So when you combine it, geography means the study of the earth. And
Okay.
in our real
That's
meaning, geography is the study of human and his environment.
okay. Great. So generally, when we talk about geography, we try to look at what the study of the earth and the various components of it, all the inhabitants of the earth. So that's what we mean, or that's when we talk about geography. That's what we're trying to look at. Then, okay, great. Then also, when we take our models and we look at the term geography, as you rightly said, the geo over there means what? The earth. Then the graphy, depending on where you are picking it from, could mean what? The description of what or description. So in basic English language, you just say what? Earth description. Um, Putting everything together, we look at it as what? The study of the earth in its entirety. Now, this term was coined by the father of geography, or a geographer called Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes. He coined the term geography in an attempt to describe the various happenings about the earth. Now, when we come into the academic discipline, geography can be regarded as what? The scientific study of location and places on the earth's surface. The scientific study of what? Of location and places on the earth's surface. Other books will also define it as what? The study of humans and their environment, or in their environment. Now, all these goes down just for us to understand that when we pick it, we are trying to describe the earth and the various inhabitants of the earth. Please, are you good? Now, moving on, for every geographer, there's a concern of three issues. One is what we call the where is it, why, and how. Curiously, let's take our colleagues, some of our friends here. Let me just pull up, and then maybe you have to course one or two of them. Okay. So let's pick Abigail. Abigail Amor, please, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Now, when you see a colleague or a friend, let's say your friend has gone to braid the hair, okay, and you are interested in knowing where your friend went to braid the hair. There are some of the things you may ask, oh, where did you go and braid your hair? Right?
Yes, please.
Great. Now, just in that same regard, for every geographer, these questions guide us in everything that we do. One is the where, the why, and the how. Now, when we pick the where, we try to look at where geographic phenomena or events are located. We say Mountain Afajato. Question is, where is it located? When we say Kakum National Park, where is Kakum National Park located? When we say Larabanga Mosque, where is it located? Now, the second question that geographers seek to find out is what? Is the why. When we talk about why, it,
So please, we can't hear you anymore.
root there come around. So people try to understand why certain things are located at where they are. Then the third one being the how. Now, with the how, we try to understand the various or the unique characteristics that these features have. When we talk of Kakum National Park, what makes Kakum National Park different from Achimota Forest? What makes Kakum National Park different from the Mole National Park? What makes Kakum National Park different from Ankasa Forest? So we try to look at it in that aspect, the various uniqueness of these features. Now, when we talk about the main branches of geography, or geography as we have it, is made up of a number of branches. Generally, there are two branches. There are two branches at from which we look at it. The two branches are physical geography and human geography. With the physical geography, it deals with the natural phenomena or occurrences that are independent of human activities. Now, these with the physical geography aspect, human beings do not influence it. They are there. Mountains, human beings didn't create the mountains. They came into being themselves. When you look at the rivers, rivers came into being themselves unless humans decide to what, to change the course of it. But then when we pick human geography, we look at all the activities of human beings in their natural environment. So people are staying at one location, but then they are able to migrate from where they are to another zone. Then we will look at it in terms of what, the human geography. In the field of geography also, there are four basic traditions that we need to understand. We have the earth science tradition, we have the human environment tradition, we have the regional geography or the area studies tradition, then we have the spatial analysis or the quantitative tradition. Now, all these traditions influence geography in its unique ways. Is that okay? Now, for example, the earth science tradition. Now, it includes the analysis of physical processes such as erosion, climate, among others, and the various analysis or the various issues that it comes up with. When we look at the human environment tradition, we try to look at how human beings interact with the environment. So we have a group of people staying at, let's say, Kwesimin team, how does they staying there influence the lives of people in another zone? How how they are staying there influencing the environment so that if
Sir,
there
please, your
are
voice is scratchy.
people within an area, chances of the place being polluted is high. Then we have the regional geography or the area studies tradition, where we try to look at specific features or specific regions, so that when we pick the eastern region or the eastern no the western region.
Hello, Mr. Jen. Hello.
Hello? Sir, please, we can't hear you again.
Please, let's hold on. Maybe he's facing net issue.
Yeah, hello. Please, can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Okay. And I hope it's loud and clear.
Yes, please.
Okay, great. So I was saying that when we look at the various traditions, when we look at regional geography, we try to look at uh, specific places. Okay. So when we pick Eastern region is noted for a particular thing. When we pick Upper West region has certain features that makes it distinct from all other places, right? Then when we look at the last branch of it, that is the spatial analysis tradition, we try to look at or we focus on the various distributions and locational relationship among these places. So question is, why is it that during the rainy season it rains heavily within the western region as compared to the northern region? You try to establish that kind of relationship that may exist with these places. All right. Now let's come to the term physical geography. Is this coming? Okay. Now let's come to the term what we mean by physical geography. Now, physical geography, as mentioned earlier, it focuses. Uh, so, physical geography, as I mentioned, it focuses on the character, the process, and all the other things that shapes the earth. Okay, so we basically try to understand that okay, we have the earth as a feature. Now, all those things that help shape it, these features, those things that are not influenced by human activities, that is where we try to look at what physical geography. So one will ask, when you talk about physical geography, what do you mean? Or when you say physical geography, what at all is physical geography? Now, physical geography in its entirety, we can just define it as the study of the earth and the various processes that influences the earth without the influence of what? Of man. Are we okay with that? So we try to look at we having the earth, all the various things that shapes the earth without man what coming into play. Just a moment, some letters and information. Okay. Now, when we pick geography also, there are various, when we pick physical geography, there are various aspects that brings or that encompasses physical geography. Now, one of it is what? Geomorphology. Now, when we look at geomorphology, one will ask, what is geomorphology? We try to understand the various features that shapes the Earth's surface. When we pick climatology, we try to look at what? Anything that influences the climate of the environment. Biogeography will look at how how organisms interact with their immediate environment. When we look at pedology, we will try to look at how the environment, how people try to study or learn about the environment. Glaciology will look at the various ice, or let me say the study of ice. So polar regions have ice. So we try to learn about it, how these ice, when they melt, how it influences the environment and their lives. Then hydrology will look at the study of water within the earth. Now, studying physical geography or studying geography does not just happen, or we don't just get up and try to understand how the so one screen of mine is off, so I'll have to maintain this one. Please permit me. Let me just proceed without using the slides. I'll share it. I'll share with you sometime later. All right. I don't know, but my for one reason or the other, my laptop is not allowing that. I don't know what's happening. Now when we look at now when we look at geography, we don't just get up and start learning geography. There is a process or a flow that we follow, and that process is what we call what? The scientific method. It's just like you trying to wash. If you want to wash your things in the house, you don't just get up and say that, oh, I've taken the things and I've put them in water. There are various things that you do. For example, if I want to wash, I pick them and I separate by color. After separating by color, I try to soak the white or keep them in water, add whatever I want to add to it for a period before I start washing. The same thing applies with what? The field of geography. We have what we call what? The scientific method. Now, the scientific method is more like a guide or it's a guideline that helps us to be able to acquire knowledge about nature and the universe. Now, we should take note that science is not a set of beliefs. Science deals with facts. It deals with figures. For example, why is Kofi a boy? Why is Amma a girl? They won't say that, oh, I think Kofi is a boy. No, Kofi is a boy because of ABCD reasons. Now the question is, what are the reasons? What are those reasons that make Kofi a boy? What are those reasons that makes Amma a girl? So the scientific method more or less guides us in making decisions or understanding the earth. Now the first step when it comes to the scientific method is making observation. For one to be able to ask questions, it means that you have noticed it over a period of time. For example, you are there, you see, you notice things are happening. Maybe uh, animals in your house are dying, or in the neighborhood they are dying. You seem not to understand what is causing that. Before you ask questions, it means that you have observed it over a period of time. Is that okay? Then after observation, the second step is what? Asking questions. By asking questions, you go back to those questions that geographers are interested in. The how, the where, all those questions are important to geographers. So, for example, you see that things are happening, maybe the plants in your neighborhood are dying, then you ask yourself, why are these plants dying? Immediately you tend to or you begin to ask yourself questions. That means that you are interested in knowing about nature. The third stage in the scientific method is formulation of hypothesis. At formulation of hypothesis, this place you try to understand or try to put down, okay, all things being equal, what are those things or what are the factors that are causing these plants to die? Is it that they don't have good water? Is it that the soil is no good? Is it that someone is intentionally destroying them? Once you have these hypotheses, by the next stage, you want to test these hypotheses. By testing them, you tell me that, okay, one question you ask yourself during the formulation of hypothesis is, the plants are dying. What are those things that are causing the plants to die? Oh, maybe it's water. It's not getting good water. Okay, fair enough. Now to test your hypothesis, it means that you would have to grow a plant at the site, then use clean water on it to try and understand, okay, is it really the clean water that is affecting? Perhaps you try growing your plants by the side, you would use the clean water for it, but then you notice that the plant is still dying, or the plants are still dying, they are not doing well. That one will make you understand that, oh, okay, it means it is not the water that is the issue. Maybe there's another factor that is forcing these plants to die. Maybe the soil. So let's look at the soil again. You try the soil and realize that, oh, the soil is also healthy. It's not affecting it in any way. Then you'll be like, okay, this time around, maybe it's the species of plant or the type of plant I want to grow. Just imagine you are trying to grow an apple in your backyard. See this apple that they sell in the market. You are trying to grow apple in your backyard. Certainly, it wouldn't do well. I hope you get it. It wouldn't do well. Reason being that the soil or the temperature, the environment that is needed for these plants to thrive do not exist in the open when it comes to Africa. Once you're able to test the hypothesis, as you are testing your hypothesis, you're able to finally draw conclusion. By drawing conclusion, what I mean is, oh, okay. So after growing the plants for a while, the challenge I've encountered is it is not the soil. Then you can go back and say that, okay, so now if it's not the soil, what is the reason? Maybe after going through series of tests and the likes, you end up saying that, okay, you come to a conclusion that the reason why the plants are dying in the neighborhood is because of what? Poor or bad air. Someone is polluting the air. That is why the plants are what? They are dying. You do all these things, and then the final stage is for you to communicate these results to the right group of people. So the first stage again, when it comes to the scientific method, the first stage is what? Making observation. The second stage is asking of questions. Third stage is formulation of what? Hypothesis. The fourth one is testing hypothesis, drawing conclusion. Then the last stage is what? Communicating these results to the right cortex or to the right group. In the same plane, is any question up to this point? Before I proceed, is there any question? All right. So if there are no questions, let me ask my questions. Ebenezer, hello, Ebenezer. Ebenezer is absent.
Hello, Master.
Oh, okay, you are there. You are welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, when we pick the scientific method, what is the first stage or the first thing that we consider? Ebenezer,
So please,
when we pick the scientific method of physical geography, what is the first thing we consider?
Uh, Observation.
Okay, Nehad, when we say making observations in the scientific method, what does it mean?
Um, uh, like observing through the scientific method to uh, like you explain it to me in my understanding that you have to observe before you tackle an issue in a scientific method. You have to observe it, like the situation. Uh, that's what I heard, please.
Okay, all right. Princess Brown. Is it Princess Brown? Yes. Princess Brown.
Say.
Now, after we have made observation, what is the next stage? Explain the next step that we need to take in the scientific method process.
Okay, so through my understanding, I got to know that before the observation, you ask question, how it came about, how it is, why, how, like, you know.
So, as a maybe come explain further. I'm sure Salifu didn't understand it. That's why I'm asking you to explain it so that we see if you can understand it better.
okay, sir, please, her question again.
I'm saying that when we look at the scientific method, the second step is asking questions. Why is it important for us to ask questions?
Okay, so like, if asking question, asking, you don't know the reason, so you have to ask the question to get the understanding and
Okay, all right. I think that also works. And then the third step will be formulation of hypothesis. Then we continue in that regard. Now, when we come into geography, there are two concepts that are very important. One is the concept of time and the concept of
Minister, can you repeat the question for us?
the question. Yes, so I was
Yes,
saying,
please.
what is the importance of asking questions in the
Oh,
scientific process? So you can write it down. Who knows? I can call you later to present the
Okay,
whole.
sir, I want to
Okay,
come up with my idea.
all right.
Okay, now for every situation that uh, you are indifferent, or let's say you don't understand or don't know what to do, you ask questions to know how the thing happened, so that it gives you the steps to find a possible solution for it.
Okay. So we ask the questions so that this will guide us. It's not okay. It will guide us to try and understand what exactly, like you are saying this, so what exactly is happening, what exactly is the problem that is coming up. So yes, we make the observation, we ask questions, we start to write down uh, what do you call it? Hypothesis. We try to test them, draw conclusions, then we finally what? Uh, communicate the results that we have. Now, as I was saying also, when you look at the concept of time and space, these are two things that are very important to us as geographers. In geography, everything happens at a place. When you pick the earth, everything happens at a particular place. They don't just happen for happening sake. It happens within a particular place. And it always happens at a duration or within a duration. For example, it rains or no, the sun shines during the day and the moon comes out during the night. While the sun is shining at point E, there's another point at point B that is also experiencing what? Darkness. So you know that geographers are interested in where the thing is happening and at what time, the duration, that point where things are happening. We want to know the time that it's happened. The same has to do with human nature. Oh, there was an accident. Oh, question is, where was the accident? Where did this happen? Then the next question will be, oh, okay, if there was an accident, what time did this happen? Is that okay? So in geography also, we look at the concept of what? Of time and space. As I mentioned, the time factor, we try to look at it in terms of what? The duration, all right? The duration or the period in which or by which something happened. Then by space, we try to look at what? The area or the location where um, things happen. Is that okay? Any question? Does it mean you understand everything? Hello?
Hello.
Yes. Please, are there any questions? Does it mean you understand all that I've been explaining all this while?
Please continue.
Okay. All right. The next thing I want us to look at is the issue of form and processes. Form and processes, or the study of form and processes. In the field of geography, specifically physical geography, everything that happens does not just occur, but then it goes through a process. So A will affect B, then B will affect C, in that order. So you notice that before, so you notice that before it rains, okay, before it rains, it becomes what? Cloudy. Once it becomes cloudy, the atmosphere changes. You realize that the environment becomes a bit cooler. Then the next thing before you notice, the rain will also come into play. Is that good? So when you look at the issue of process, everything that happens in geography, everything that happens, it happens or it goes through a particular process. Then there's a form that it also follows. So that if one changes the other, or any change in one field affects the other hugely. For example, if it rains today, if it rains today, the likelihood that it's going to cause or it's going to, let's say, if it becomes very cloudy, let me use that word. If it becomes very cloudy at a point, then the possibility of it going to rain heavily is high. So we try to look at geography in what in the field of or we try to look at it in form of what forms and its processes. Let's go to session 4 and let's look at what we call the system theory. System theory. System theory. Let me get you the perfect definition of a system. Okay. Now when we pick a system, what we mean by a system, we try to look at the relationship between interrelated parts that works together to by way of what some driving forces. For example, we look at the human being. Okay, now the human being has the digestive system. Same human being has a respiratory system. There's also the nervous system. There's also the skeletal system. Now you see that all these come together to what? To make up the human being. The nervous system has a role it plays. The digestive system has a role it plays. Then the respiratory system also has what? A role it plays. Now all these things have what? Various rules or various things that they do. But then they all try to come together to work. Is that okay? So when we look at a system, we try to look at all these independent systems or independent bodies or parts coming together as one factor to work earnestly by means of what a driving force. Now, what are some of the general characteristics of a system? Now, systems have structures that's that is defined by what its parts and processes. Again, systems are generalization of reality. Now, all systems tend to function the same way. That is to say that they involve inputs, outputs, and output of what? Of material. Now, a digestive system, there's always what? An energy that goes into it. Then there's also energy that there's something at the as end product or end result of it. When you look at the properties of a system or the properties of a system, you have three main properties. We have elements, we have attributes, and we have what? Relationships. Now, by elements, we look at what? The various parts that makes up the system. When we look at the attribute, these are the characteristics that each of the elements possess. For example, the size, the quantity, the color, the volume, the temperature of it. Then the last part being what? The relationship. Now with the relationship, we try to look at what? The association that exists between these elements and their attributes. So we look at the parts, how these parts work alone, how their attributes influence it. Then the relationship will look at how all these things work on each other. Is that very good?
Yes, please.
Okay. Please, if there are any questions, you can bring it up.
Please, I have a question.
Oh, please go to you can ask.
Uh, Under the scientific method, uh, how do we properly form a good hypothesis?
How do you properly form a good hypothesis?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, please.
so to form a good hypothesis, that is where the observation is important. So you notice that maybe within a particular area, the plants are doing very well. In another area, the plants are not doing well. Then the question is, why is it that plants within this area is doing well and that of the other not doing well? My one hypothesis that we can come up with is that okay, now sorry. So one hypothesis that we can develop is okay, we look at area A. What is it that area A has that area B does not have? Maybe area A has good water. Okay, the plants thrive well because they have good water. Then you can see that okay, um, area B or area A does well because it has good water. Now, if you want to replicate it in area B, then you need to what? Try and introduce good water in area B to see how it reacts with what with the environment. This I hope it's clear.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so the observation is important, one. Then the second one we have to look at is what? Is the various questions that you will bring up. Any other question before I proceed to the types of system? Any other question before I move on, please? Okay. So if there are no questions, let's look at the types of system. Generally, there are two types of system. Generally, there are two types of system. We have the open system and the closed system. Now, the open system refers to a system that allows for both matter and energy to interact. So both matter and energy are able to enter into the system and move out of the system. But when we look at a closed system, it's a system that transfers heat, but then does not allow matter across its boundary to the what, surrounding environment. That is to say, I'm trying to get a perfect example. Let's say you sit in a car. Okay, you sit in an air conditioned car. Now there is air circulating in the car, so that the car only would only allow fresh air inside. So the air will just be cool, just be enjoying it. But then you notice that there is no air that comes out of the this hold on. Okay. Now you notice that it doesn't allow air from outside into it. There's no air that can pass through the window. But then in an open system, liken it to in the open system, liken it to a trotro or even a taxi. One car, everything comes inside, everything can go out. Please, I hope you get the main differences here. Please, I hope you get the differences. Okay. Silence means consent. So there are some examples that are given. There are some examples that are given. We have the likes of the solar system. We have the likes of the the food chain, all as what as an example of what a system. Now, In terms of physical geography, it has undergone various changes, or it has undergone um, 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 yeah, it has revolved. Okay, in the sense that 20, 30 years ago, how we observe the environment differs from how it is today. Now, there are two key things we need to know. We have the concept of uniformitarianism and the concept of catastrophism. When you talk about uniformitarianism, we try to look at the earth changing form gradually. Anything that is happening takes time. It just does not happen all of a sudden. But then over a period of time, then you see that the thing is changing gradually, gradually, gradually. On the other hand, when you look at catastrophism, we try to look at everything happening all at once. So a tree is falling, or someone cut down a tree. Instantly, the tree just falls to the ground. One. The second one is the tree. Someone is trying to bring down a tree, but then you notice that the person will just go make incisions or make cuts, or will use the axe to just create some cuts at one side. We'll go another time, come back again, then use it till what the tree generally or occasionally what comes to the ground. The second one, or what we need to also know is what evolution or the landscape evolution or the landscape evolution of landscapes by Charles Darwin. According to him, he said that issues of natural selection determined by individuals, such that we have what we call the survival of the fittest. When you go somewhere and maybe you want to get on a car, people are forcing to get in a car. You notice if you are strong, you get a space. If you are not strong, forget it. Nothing. In fact, they will push you away. You wouldn't get any place to sit. It's okay. The next thing we also look at is the exploration and survey. As geography or as physical geography change over time, things also what change. Now, for example, what are the days where if you want to travel, you have to set up. Maybe you have to use a horse or a donkey or the like. But this time around, if you want to travel, all you need is your lorry fare or you need a plane ticket. Those of us in good places, we might get a train to take us on that trip. So you see that over the time, things are gradually what changing, and these changes occur through and through and through to the last bit. So if you go through your model, you see the likes of conservation, the quantitative evolution, and I think you see also the human-land relationship among others. So once you are able to go through it, you get a better understanding about it. But then what you need to know when it comes to the evolution or the development of evolution of physical geography, you should learn that there is the survival of the fittest. There is uniformitarianism also coming into play. Okay. Then there is also what the catastrophism also in play here. Then to the last bit, when you look at the future of physical geography, what is the future of it? Now, when you pick in the area of applied physical geography, where we try to apply the various understanding of the earth to all the changes that are happening on the earth surface, in order to properly or better understand it, we'll be able to what, apply physical geography or apply physical geography to it. So we see that plants are not growing well in area A, you're able to monitor and know that okay, area A is not doing well in this regard. So for that reason, let's look at area B. What is in area B that is not in area A that can be used or replicated to help us? Then be able to apply these things. Now we have what we call remote sensing, whereby we're able to take images of places or data of places without having to what, to go to these areas or go to these places. That is what we refer to as what? As remote sensing, like remotely taking or getting information of places without having to, to go there. Now, we are able or we can be able to apply, or the future of geography, physical geography is say because we will be able to apply remote sensing and the brother or the sister called GIS to it. Now with GIS, what it means is that information or that data that we have been able to capture without going to the place, we will be able to what, to process it or to work on it to get good information. Please, how many of you have ever used Google Map? Just show by hand if you have ever used Google Map. Hey, no one. No one has used Google Map before. Okay, that's fine. So if you have never used it, but then if you have seen a Google Map before, one thing you need to understand is with the Google Map, it tries to look at recapturing images of places without having to go there. So you see someone showing you the map of a place. Question is, what time did the person go and capture all that information? The person didn't go there, but then the person was able to use GIS and remote sensing to what? To get that information for you to use. Then the last bit we'll look at what? Modern geospatial technologies and research opportunities. Now, in the field of regional, in the field of physical geography, one can undertake numerous studies. For example, why is it that the weather in the northern part of Ghana very different from the weather in southern Ghana or the southern part of Ghana? Why is it that certain crops are able to do well in the northern part of Ghana, but then they don't do well when it comes to the south or when you go to the east or the west? Now, in the field of physical geography, one can be able to what? To get these research opportunities to take. And undertaking research or researchers, one is able to also get money. You get the exposure, you meet people, you see places, and with that, you're able to get a better understanding of the world. Is that okay? So when you look at physical geography, as I mentioned, this is just an introduction. Moving on, we will look at the various bits and pieces that comes together to form physical geography. As I mentioned earlier, when we look at geography, we look at what the study of the earth and the various processes it undergoes. We have the likes of what geomorphology, we have the likes of oceanography, we have the likes of pedology, we have the likes of glaciology, as well as by geography. There are a number of them that comes together to form what geography. Then also we came to an understanding that when you look at geography or when we pick physical geography, it's made up of what? Systems. It's made up of systems. And these systems basically mean independent um, features or independent parts coming together to form a whole. So there's a head, there's a hand, there's a leg, there's a neck, there's a shoulder, there's a stomach, there's a chest, but then all these processes comes together to form what? A whole. All these will come together to form what? The human body. Please, I hope we are on the same page. Then
Yes.
lastly, hello, you have a question? Okay. Then also, lastly, I mentioned that when we look at the future of physical geography, you being a physical geographer does not mean you'll be a class teacher. No. What it means is that there are various fields that you can enter. For example, application of what? GIS and remote sensing, the application of research and the likes to it, so that you become what? Well versed. With the session 6, I think continuously for the past 3 years, there have been questions or they have asked questions on the application or the future of what um, physical geography. So how can physical geography or how does what's the future of physical geography? Where it's expected of the student to talk about the continual development in what in physical geography, application of remote sensing, application of GIS, all of these to physical geography, so that we will get what a better and a better understanding, a better grasp of physical geography. So if you have any question, I think I've just summarized what we looked at today. In the subsequent weeks, we'll be looking at Unit 2, where we look at issues about the solar system, the shape of the Earth, the atmosphere, weather and climate, cloud and precipitation, then the concept of temperature. We'll be looking at all these things in our next meeting or during our next meeting. Nevertheless, I would encourage you to read on them. You can read on these. You can read on these so that when we meet, it becomes easier for all of us to go through. Is that okay? Please, are there any questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure. Please proceed.
Um, can human activities change an open system into an unstable one?
Yes, human activities can change an open system into an unstable system. Um, I'm tempted to use a taxi. We all sit in a taxi, okay? Then in the taxi, someone decides to eat wache. Someone unwraps a bowl of wache or a pack of wache. Once the person does that, what happens? Everyone in the car begins to smell wache, 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 wache. So you see that it wouldn't be an open system, but this time around it becomes unstable because something else has been what introduced into the atmosphere. Ebenezer, I hope it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, are there any other questions, please? Are there any other questions? All right. So, if there are no questions, I think today's lecture has been good. Um, as I mentioned earlier, my name is James, and you can call me or Heneba. Just feel free to call me or Heneba. That's fine. But if you want to use the James, then the say has to come for respect. Let me put it that way. I think over the period of time, I'll try and get to know you by your names and the various centers that you belong to, so that if there is anything, we'll be able to go through it. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So if there are no questions, I think we can call it a day. And thank you very much for joining. You will have to schedule. I think you will schedule which day in the week will be ideal for your the 1 hour credit for the 1 hour credit so that you all be able to cover up to a portion or cover up to a particular level. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So thank
Okay.
you very much for your time, and then
Thank
have a
you,
good
sir.
day and enjoy your weekend.
Another period.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.